there, everyone! Today is my overdue Authortube Newbie Tag. This is the original Newbie Tag. I understand there's a 2.0 version that I just learned about prior to just a few minutes before I started recording this video. But I'm just going to do the original one for now, and I'll tackle the newer one at a later point in time. I don't bother tagging anyone in videos like these. I just do them for fun, and if you feel like doing them too, great. Whatever floats your boat. Let's get started. Question number 1 is, how did you find out about Authortube? I found out about Authortube actually when I was, it was last year, that is 2019, and I had just started to get into the mood for writing my own story, my own potential novel. And I was looking up writing craft videos. And one of the first ones that came up, I forget exactly what it was I was looking up, but one of the first ones that came up was from self-published author Jenna Moresi. And I really love her channel and the videos that she puts out. And that's when I learned about Authortube originally. And yeah, it just kind of took off from there. Question number 2 is, what genres do you write in? I would say my primary genre is fantasy. I do write the odd science fiction piece, normally not too big outer space type sci-fi, more a little more grounded type sci-fi, the little I do write. And I wouldn't have said this several months ago, but I actually do write in the horror genre. Like, I love writing about vampires, and the vampire stories I've been preferring so far have been in horror rather than paranormal specifically. They generally fall into both categories, but I really love the vampire stories that are more atmospheric, the ones that are more suspenseful, the ones that put you on the edge of your seat or make you think about certain things. You're like, ugh. Like, the stuff that can make you cringe and yet make you happy at the same time. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's how it comes across to me. Question number 3 is, what is your preferred writing tense, point of view, and category of story? My writing tense is completely based on the type of story I'm writing. I don't really have a preference. That being said, past tense is normally used more than present tense, generally because most of the time when I write a story, I'm writing it as if someone is telling the story to someone else after the fact. I find that gravitates to me more. I am capable of doing a present tense story. It just, I guess for the way I write, it doesn't seem to work out. Point of view, this is also completely dependent on the story, and I jump around with this one a lot more. The novel manuscript I'm currently working on, I started it in third person and then jumped to first person, and then it went back and forth like that for a while. It is staying on first person now. It's going to stay that way. I think I found my vibe with that, but it was really hard to grasp it at first, definitely. And then category of story, adult. No offense to young adult or middle grade or whatever, but normally for the stories that I write, adult is the category I go to, just because it means I can tackle literally anything without limitation. I probably might write something that's young adult at some point, but I don't see myself doing that in the near future. Question number 4 is, are you a plotter, pantser, or a planter? Pantser. And I figured that part out because I was, there are some author tubers that I was keeping an eye on who, yeah, and to be fair, this works for most people, and that is writing an outline before you start writing. I never really did before, but I thought since I was actually trying to write a proper novel manuscript, I would try it out. And I don't know what it was about the whole planning thing, but the entire time I tried planning something out, regardless of what method I used, my brain would just keep flooding me with information, like so much so that I would have to start writing stuff down. It was basically my brain telling me, screw the planning, just write the damn book. And that happened several times before I finally gave up and just went back to the pantsing approach, like I've always done. And that seems to work for me. Now, keep in mind that I consider myself a pantser for not using an outline prior to the first draft of the novel. I will definitely use an outline in the editing process in order to make sure everything flows together and there's no repeats or whatever. Question number 5 is, are you self-published, traditionally published, or yet to be published? Well, I'm yet to be. I haven't been published at all yet for anything. But my goal is to write short stories to submit to literary magazines, so I guess you would consider that traditional publishing. But my novel is going to be self-published. I determined that a long time ago. I've done a lot of research into it and already took steps towards that. Question number 6 is, what publishing company, literary agent, and or printing company are you represented by or use? If you're not yet published, what is your dream publishing house and or agent? I will tell you for a fact, based on research that I've conducted, that I plan on using Ingram Spark for my self-publishing. I'm planning on using them specifically because I want to, for a few reasons. One is I want to publish a hardcover version as well as a paperback version, and Kindle Direct Publishing only does paperback, not hardcover. And then I also want my books to be in libraries and in bookstores. Even if it doesn't get me that much more sales, but it does make my stuff circulated on a more wide basis. And so many bookstores still don't purchase books that are published by Amazon because Amazon is in many ways a direct competitor to them. So that is what I had in mind when I made that choice. Question number 7 is, what Authortube related videos can we expect to find on your channel? I mean, I don't have anything much at the moment. But the goal is anything that I research or learn on my writing journey that I put into practice in some way, normally. I'm not one of those people that will make videos for clicks and act as if I know what I'm doing when I don't. If I don't have experience with something, I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to talk about writing romance books because I don't write romance books. I may have romances in my stories, but I don't specialize in writing romance as a genre, and I would never pretend to do that. Question number 8 is, when did you start writing? I don't know if I have an exact time when I started writing, and it depends on what you're referring to. If you're referring to when I first started writing ever, it would probably have been sometime when I was a small child, because it was encouraged by my parents to read and write whenever you wanted and whatever you wanted. In terms of something that is more formal, like something put online or whatever, I would say my earliest known story would probably be, it's not up anymore, but it was a fanfic on fanfiction.net, and it was an adaptation of the storyline of Rouge the Bat, who was introduced in the video game Sonic Adventure 2 and what happened after the fact. And I wish it didn't take it down in its original form because it was pretty popular. A lot of people liked it. And I regret some of the decisions I made on that. But it was definitely one of my earlier stories and one of my better earlier stories for sure. Question number 9 is, what was the first story you ever wrote? I don't know, but probably something Sailor Moon related. I was an even bigger fan of Sailor Moon growing up than I am now. I'm still a huge fan of Sailor Moon and always will be. But I don't think I would actually write anything fanfic related for them now. Not of the original continuity. When it comes to fanfics now, I tend to more mash up Sailor Moon with other franchises, kind of like do a cross, like a fusion universe, so to speak, where it has elements of one and elements of the other. Sounds weird, but that's kind of my jam right now. Question number 10 is, what authors have inspired you the most? I don't know if I could pin down specific authors. I take inspiration from multiple sources, just whatever floats my boat, whatever I think works for me. I do read a lot of Anne Rice, but that doesn't mean my primary influence or source is her stuff. any number of things. Like, I read a lot of Dragonlance too, and a lot of books in that series is by Margaret Weis and Tracy Hickman, and they co-write a lot of those books. And I've read a lot of them, and I would say they influence me to a point, but again, I wouldn't say they're a primary influence. It's just I pick and choose. Question number 11 is, do you schedule your writing sessions or simply get to writing whenever you can find the time? Whenever I can find the time. I can't schedule anything worth shit. I am not kidding you. I am not the type of person that can plan stuff and actually get it done. I get more stuff done, believe it or not, when I don't plan anything and I just spontaneously decide to do something. If it's an appointment or a meeting or my job, of course, then, you know, it has to be planned out and I have no choice. But I'm fine with working around those. But when it comes to stuff that I have to motivate myself to do, I am far more likely to get something done if I just off the cuff decide this is what I'm going to do at this very moment and that's it. Much better that way. Question number 12 is, do you type on a computer, typewriter, write everything out by hand, or use a blend of those? And where do you write in general? Well, I may prefer to read like a book in like a physical format, like paperback or hardcover, but when it comes to writing, like I can't handwrite. I don't feel like handwriting is fast enough to accommodate how my brain processes things. So I type it out, and I normally try to make sure that the program I'm using has a sort of kind of a dark mode or sorts, because like bright lights on a computer screen normally don't sit well with me, so dark mode is best mode. The 13th and final question is, what are you most looking forward to now that you're part of Authortube? I don't know, like interacting with other people who like writing and are interested in mine, perhaps. Kind of like I like interacting with people who like books, because my channel is both a combo of BookTube and Authortube, so I deal with both. Just interacting with people in general who like the same kind of things that I do and talk about it, and, you know, kind of learning from each other. You know what I mean? Alright, there you have it. That is the original Authortube Newbie Tag. Again, I'll be doing Newbie Tag 2.0 later on down the line, probably when I have more to say about my book, because there's some questions on there I noticed that are more specific to, like, specific stuff you've written, like, in terms of what content of stuff. And so maybe sometime next year, perhaps, or later on this year, when I have some short stories done or have more of my novel manuscript done, I'll probably do that. But for now, this is good enough. I'd like to hear your thoughts on what I said in this tag. What do you think? I'd like to talk with you about all that sort of stuff. Be wonderful. And with that, thank you for watching this video. I post a new one every Tuesday and Friday, and have a good one, guys. Bye!